we've gotten to a place to where we act as if experts have no merit, as if their lifelong duty to research to their craft makes them a liar and insufficient.
It doesn't make them a liar, but it doesn't make what they say the truth. Also, they have discredited themselves. Okay, that looks like a cross, but I don't know the implication of it.
Okay, so look up the
like
four
sick cross, bro.
Four iron crosses. An iron cross has been associated with the Aryan Brotherhood.
Okay, so just so you know, I don't know when he had the tattoo.
Is this so?
But if you're active duty,
bad to be a fucking
if you're active duty,
Aryan,
which he was at some point, you would get booted out for that.
Okay, so he got it after. So he's just
if he got it after. I don't know when he got it.
Yeah, it's like when that guy's running your Department of Defense. I don't know, the Stephen Miller, all these white nationalists, these uber religious people. Yeah, man, there's some shit to it. The white nationalism's real, and that's something that we talked about before. Of do you think that there's a possibility that white nationalism is real?
Of course, that's real.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's made up. I don't think it's. I don't think it's pervasive in our culture.
Okay.
So
I don't think there's any evidence of that.
But so what do you think about like the people showing up in Memphis, Tennessee, literally geared up, walking with Nazi flag with a Nazi flag, chanting?
That's the super shitty part about free speech.
Right, but
I have to look at shit that I don't like.
Isn't that prevalent?
I think those people are bad.
But those people,
I think people that wave Nazi flags
and we
are
agree there.
despicable.
Okay, so where we disagree,
right? Yeah, really fringe opinion on that.
It's such a fucking brave soldier.
Yeah, I mean,
but when those
is that
people
indicative of where the country's at?
No, but I will say,
would you paint? Okay, and people were doing the same thing with Black Lives Matter when they torched what was it, Minneapolis? Minneapolis. Do you think it would be fair for Republicans or conservatives to make the argument that that's reflective of the entire movement?
But they did, though. They did.
But now you're doing it, and you're claiming it's okay.
No, what I'm saying is those people exist.
They do.
Those people are for one party and for one politician.
So are people that fall into the Black Lives Matter movement.
100%. Which again, I do want to say that the movement and the organization two different things.
You saved us on that.
So
I'd agree with the statement.
Yeah, but
Black Lives Matter, the organization, like you said, is different.
So someone like me, I was for the statement, the movement of let's stop this. The statistically unprecedented number of.
No, that's not true.
But it is though. But
the statistics actually point in the opposite direction on that.
Yeah, more white people than black people. But it is what it is. Okay?
Well, that's true. But
we got to stay on one topic.
Yeah, it's a little bit of another interesting topic. I mean, definitely interesting. Yeah,
I feel you. I won't. I'm not going to dismiss it, but I feel you.
Yeah.
But when you have a book like Project 2025 that was written and funded by the Heritage Foundation and every major Republican donor, when the author of that book is Stephen Miller, and they are open white nationalists, that being your administration, that being the person who's handing Donald Trump every piece of paper where he goes, what am I signing? Oh, yeah, this is great, right? And it does this big fucking drawn out fucking...
More or less, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
It's easy for someone like me to sit there and go, it seems as if he's being peddled shit, not knowing what he's signing because these are the people who funded his campaign.
That's any president ever.
But
no president knows anything. Which is why everyone around them is hired to advise them.
People are hired around them, yes, to help them.
They don't know anything.
Navigate. I don't think that's
presidents are not
true.
Experts in anything. They're experts at talking in front of a camera.
They're
experts at producing an image.
Barack Obama was a professor of constitutional law. He's an expert on the Constitution.
Okay,
he's an expert on law.
Okay, so if he was a lawyer, then fine. I'll retract that and say he was a lawyer, but he's not an expert.
He's not an economist.
Right, he's not an economist.
So you hire good people.
That's my point. So every
the
president
job is so expansive.
Yes,
exactly. Every president,
exactly.
every position of authority is relying on
100%,
their advisors
100%
to feed them.
Yes.
You know.
But you should at least know what the fuck you're signing. You should at least be briefed.
I agree.
You have briefings. You have daily briefings.
Trust but verify.
This is your job.
Trust but verify. I agree.
We also, I think with our president, what we would like to believe is that they have good judgment. Like some of the legendary presidents, that's what we remember about them, is in the moments of crisis or whatever, they had good judgment in the moment, and they were willing to stand up for what was right. I mean, for all the flaws, because we're talking about like Trump and flaws, so we can criticize from the other side of the aisle a guy for us, JFK, a ton of personal character flaws. Nobody would necessarily be like, this is the perfect fucking man or perfect husband.
Cheat on his wife.
All kinds of crazy shit with JFK. I mean, family tied to the mob, all that shit can be true, but
let's not step over Vietnam in regards to JFK.
Sure. But I mean, there's
that's a not good one.
But there's literally, I mean, the government was trying to, and I'm sure they did, because I'm cynical when it comes to the government. But it's like we're trying to perform ops on, like, and Americans were going to die. I don't know. I got to look up the exact operation name or whatever. But it got all the way to the point of being put on JFK's desk. And Americans were going to die so they could end up invading Cuba or some shit. And he, at that point, was like, absolutely fucking not. You know what I mean? Like, that's just like, for all the fuck shit that we get into, and before the camera came on, we were talking about blood money and all that, and I didn't want to get into it, and you kind of, just barely kind of grazed on it, but it's like, we have to look at our money. It has a lot of fucking blood on it. So it's like,
brother, we started this country off with some blood money.
For all the things that I wouldn't necessarily full on condone as a moral action, I would say in that position, the one thing that we ask mainly is that the judgment is on point. And I think that's one thing that I don't trust Trump's judgment, personally. That's why I wouldn't have, even though I was not going to vote for Joe Biden, or for Kamala Harris, Joe Biden. Just that
administration,
that administration, I wasn't going to vote in that direction. I couldn't vote for Trump in my perspective, because I didn't trust him, even though I knew ultimately he may end up still getting voted based off the fraction on the liberal side of things. But you guys go ahead.
So what I was alluding to was, with all that, and you know that the Heritage Foundation and them are the far Christian right, and a lot of that is, you see the KKK and a lot of these fucked up movements are hidden behind religious guild or guy, right? I mean, shit, they call themselves the White Knights of Christ for the KKK. So you know all this to be true. Not one part of you would say that it's a possibility that this administration has white nationalists in it, and they have a motive to, what the whole movement has been, is secure the sanctity of the white race in this country. So I worked with a guy, I'm not going to say names, with the prison, Aryan tattoos. That's how I know about that. Iron Cross. Aryan tattoos.
It was the cross of Jerusalem. I had to get back off there because it blacked out our screen.
So the cross of Jerusalem is.
But it was tied. It was tied to a white nationalist
than an Aryan
group.
Cross.
But when I read, it is a different claim. But I read a little bit more of it. It did say that it was tied to a white nationalist group. But I think both things can still be true. Like, people a great example, obviously, is the swastika. People take on it, or what you were just saying with the KKK. People take on imagery and iconography and all this from other groups,
other sources.
and then they say, "Hey, this is our shit now." And also the ideology, and it may tie into their ideology. I mean, it may be a white nationalist group that is also, to your point, religious in some way, have some Christian quote-unquote values, but I think I'm probably more, I wonder where you're at, but with what your claim is, I just take issue with it. Are there people that believe in white nationalism? Well, that's a really hard thing to say definitively. You know what I mean? I could say broadly, and I could agree with you, kind of is there maybe people that lean in that direction? Probably, but then I would agree with Cody that there's always people, in some fucking, in Joe Biden's cabinet, do you think there was communists? Well, probably. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But does that mean that Joe Biden's administration was communist?
No.
Well, no, of course not. I wouldn't say. Now, when you have a president that goes on autopilot and is just signing, using auto pen, that's a problem, because then their cabinet might end up representing the actual policies more than the president does.
That's a great point.
But then you need the president, and I hope we can trust Trump in this way, even though I don't think the track record says that, but I hope that we can trust that in some shit that just is completely unacceptable, for example, Medicare or some shit like that being wiped out. Yeah, I would hope that's going to be a red line for him. And he's going to say, well, no, we're not going to go that far with this. And he has so far.
Right.
Yeah.
But,
I'm sorry, I want to
no, you're fine. You're fine.
I know you're thinking.
So, but what I was gonna say is, after seeing the red, she had the same cross, but it was red on the back of his neck, and I saw it, and I said, "Hey, man, we gotta talk. I gotta hear your story because my siblings and all that." So I was like, "Hey, just so you know, I'm not cool with certain things." So he told me a story, and the story is he's a military vet, got caught up in some shit when he came back, had to go to prison because of his training, had to go maximum security, so he got ganged up, had to go with the Aryan Brotherhood, and he's an Odinist.
Did he go in California?
No, Florida.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, so but he's an Odinist, and what his explanation to me was, I'm not racist.
Yeah.
But if you look at the statistics in this country, the white race is going to become the minority. And that's a problem. We need to save the sanctity of the white race. And, dude, there are factions in Inglewood. There are factions here. I mean, you can look.
That's not where I thought you were going to go with that.
But
he kind of went into prison and started buying into it.
No.
He's like, I'm not a racist, but come on, they kind of had good points.
I didn't know we were going here.
So, but
I thought you were going to say he did it for protection and then got out. And he's like, yeah.
So what I'm saying is, if that's the belief of these people, then and then you have someone like Stephen Miller, and you look at the Project 2025 and what it was all laying out. It's easy for people on my side to kind of connect those dots and say, hey, listen, man, you have a lot of these people around you. A lot of these people are your closest advisors. A lot of these people are the people that you're listening to. Elon Musk, his family were apartheids in South Africa. You know what they did with black people in South Africa at that time. So it's like when you look at all that, it's easy for me to say, hey, listen, man, there might be this white nationalist movement in there.
It doesn't mean they did anything to black people in Africa. Apartheid was just a separation.
Taking the land.
Which I'm not saying it's good.
They took the land. They took a lot.
Apartheid is separation. So, I mean, maybe Elon did do bad things to black people.
It was his family. It was his dad was their apartheid.
I think
that's somehow an indication.
It informs his upbringing. It's not like he literally did it, but it informs his upbringing. But even then, to be honest with you, I would challenge you on that. And I would say, like, what the fuck is this, like, purity test that we're putting people through to where they can't, like, have some kind of, like, ideologies that might inform, like, just because it's like where you draw that line becomes very weird.
We're also very hypocritical about which ideologies we allow.
Sure.
And when the, like, directly opposing ideology is pushed, we don't like it.
Well, hold on.
I think where we're going with this, we're obviously getting into a conversation about racial collectivism and tribalism, which I think is just bad in general for every race.
Fair.
I think if white people...
You're so brave.
Yeah.
But that's because I agree with you.
No, but if you say, like... But if you suggest that there's racism against whites, you get laughed off.
No, there definitely is, but
it's not... Just, I guess, teaming up, for lack of a better word, or aligning with people based on race isn't good. But we celebrate it when it's certain groups.
I want to get right